Hi, everyone. Bill Rentschler in the 1011 Now streaming studio. Happy to have you with us on another Monday. Monday means that we're hanging out with Josh Planos in the Better Business Bureau. We're talking Consumer Safety Spotlight, just kind of letting you know some things we want to watch out for. Josh, I feel like it's been forever and a day since we've got to hang out with you. We were happy to have Jesse fill in while you were gone, but happy to have you back in the saddle this Monday afternoon.
Happy to be back, Bill. Jesse's fantastic. I'm sure that she took good care of the 1011 viewers, but I'm very grateful to be back and to be able to spend my Monday with you and the 1011 team.
I know it's the thing you look forward to most on your Mondays is hanging out with me.
You might be surprised.
Well, I know it's one of the things I look forward to most is hanging out with you, Josh. But unfortunately, sometimes we talk about things that maybe aren't so great. And we got a couple topics today to talk about. One of them, again, very interesting. You've heard us talk about it before, but again, it's cryptocurrency. It's obviously it's the it thing nowadays. But the FBI actually just released a report detailing kind of last year's cryptocurrency fraud report, and there are some pretty alarming numbers in this report. Can you kind of take us through kind of what you know?
Yeah, so the Better Business Bureau partners pretty regularly with the FBI Omaha field office on matters of consumer protection. I can tell you that cryptocurrency is a very hot commodity in the consumer protection space because, frankly, it's being used to perpetuate a number of crimes. It's being used to cover up the trail of them. And it really does impact just about every scam type that we in the FBI monitors. The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center received more than 69,000 complaints from the public regarding what they refer to as cyber-enabled crime and financial fraud using cryptocurrency. And they monitored more than $5.5 billion in reported losses just through this means, right? So just through cryptocurrency, $5.5 billion. That is an enormous figure. That is a figure that 5 years ago, right, we would have associated with different forms of payment, probably not to that degree. But because there is so much confusion and so much baked into the cryptocurrency space that many consumers, frankly, do not understand, because many of us do not have computer science degrees or know what goes into the mining of cryptocurrencies. There's a whole lot of confusion that gets weaponized to perpetuate a number of crimes, ranging from romance-related fraud to ticket sales, right? So this is a means of payment for a lot of folks. It's also, sadly, an investment opportunity for people who are being told that they can expect to receive 25x returns within 12 months, which any financial advisor would tell you is ludicrous to assume that is going to happen, right? There's a reason these are speculative assets. These are not determined beforehand. And if they were, would somebody who is contacting you unsolicited be trying to cut you in on that action? It seems pretty unlikely, right? But cryptocurrency is a very hot item in the scam world, and this report really details a lot of how those scams are orchestrated.
And we have a link to this report if you want to go through it. Again, there's some interesting charts and again, some interesting figures in it. There's a link to this on the web article on 1011now.com. There's also a link if you're watching on YouTube in the YouTube description for you to check it out. And Josh, cryptocurrency is just so ethereal. Again, it's you can't physically hold it. Where does it live? Is it on your app? There are people who are mining cryptocurrency, but again, it's how does and again even I don't really understand it all that well. I have some Bitcoin. I have some crypto. Again, it's just very small amounts. I'm not paying for anything with crypto, and so again, I feel like I understand technology and things like that, but again, it's still very confusing. And again, in this report here, you see it is probably more of the older population, 40 and up, that has been hit the hardest with some of these activities. Over $1 billion just for people 60 and older in reported losses last year.
So it's both a new technology, but there's just enough connective tissue to get you to think that this is a world that you could have a cursory understanding of and be able to safely inhabit. What I mean by that is there are crypto wallets, right? There are crypto ATMs. There is a blockchain. There is a ledger, right? So these are things that people, with the exception of the blockchain, people have a formative understanding of outside of this space. And as a result, they're willing to look past some of the nuances of that, which is this is not fiat currency. This is lines of computer code. These are opportunities that are incredibly easy to hack and to compromise accounts with the way that this information is being requested to be shared. And this is information that really is very difficult to keep under wraps. And if you so happen to do an exceptional job of keeping it under wraps, but lose your passcode to your wallet, you lose all the money within it, right? So there's all of these booby traps that exist in this space, which is not well understood. But as an investment opportunity, it remains part of almost the human condition that we expect there to be a golden opportunity that we can work our way into at the early stages. And if you show me a dashboard that shows the money going up in a short amount of time, I am very much interested, right? And that is what a lot of scammers are weaponizing, just at its core. We have an opportunity for you to invest in a new form of technology with a new speculative asset, and you alone are holding the keys to this future fortune, right? And that all sounds great in theory, but in practice, it's a little bit more complicated, and typically is not actually what is being spun for you by the person who has intentionally targeted you, right, with information that they've pulled, ironically, off the internet, right? So there's a convergence of so many of the societal trends and new technologies that sadly is leaving a lot of folks susceptible for these enormous losses. And as you mentioned, Bill, there are so many folks over the age of 40 who have their retirement counts wiped out completely as a result of this opportunity, because they don't understand this landscape, and they are being told you have to play in this landscape in order to make the situation go away, or to make an enormous fortune in a short amount of time. And that's just not the way that either of those scenarios would typically pay out in a legitimate situation.
Yeah, I think if you were to ask anyone, they would like to make a lot of money very quickly with very little effort. And we've even seen some real world examples of kind of maybe some of that happening. I could point to GameStop and some of the things that happen with these meme stocks, and then there's some of those examples in the crypto space as well. I think it was a year or two ago. I think it was Dogecoin all of a sudden was up a couple 1,000%. It was only trading for like a couple cents or something like that, so you could dump a lot of money in there. And there have been some examples of that happening, but there are so few and far between. And I think people have seen enough of them in the real world that they're like, oh yeah, I could get rich quick, I could make a lot of money real quick here, and then all of a sudden all the money's gone.
We are concerned about this in the gambling space as well, right? There are so many stories on there online about someone hit a 10-leg parlay and they changed their life overnight. The reality is that experience, there are probably 1,000 experiences that didn't go that way, right? That you're not being told about, that is not being perpetrated because either the scam or the company, the legitimate company behind that endeavor, did not want to promote that, right? They do not benefit by having that information out there. And what's sad about a lot of the cryptocurrency related scams that we monitor is that folks don't feel like they can even bring that information forward, because these are lines of computer code, and what chance do I have to ever be able to recollect that money? I can tell you that the FBI works very diligently to reconnect people with that money. They do an awful good job of freezing those accounts and being able to secure a certain percentage of those funds returned to the person who originated the account. So there is money to be gained to be able to recollect, even if you are found to be someone who was a pawn in a greater scam, but only if you speak out and only if you bring that information forward. So behind the $5.6 billion in losses that the FBI monitors are a whole lot of stories that they frankly would not know about if that person had not felt enough about their experience to come forward with it. So I hope that is something that encourages people, whether you lost money to a scam, you lost money to an investment opportunity that fell through. That story does matter, but it's really important that you bring it forward. Otherwise, it really is only allowing that criminal to continue doing what it is that they did to you.
And a couple more things with just this report I want to make sure we point out. Again, I've had it up on your screen here for just a minute, but this, again, the blue bars, that's the dollars and losses. The orange line is the number of complaints. And again, you're going from 0 to 75,000 on that left-hand scale. And so you go back just a couple years, 2017, less than 5,000 reports in reference to cryptocurrency and sort of some scams through cryptocurrency, and now you're looking at, again, almost 70,000 just in 2023. It's not quite exponential, Josh, but it's going up at a pretty good rate over the last couple years.
It is. It's never been easier to scale a scam-related endeavor than it is right now. And I think maybe the first time I joined you, Bill, we talked about how 50 years ago, you had to be in the same room with someone to scam them, right? You literally had to shake their hand. And now you can send the shotgun blast email to 10,000 people. Right now, you can have a sophisticated, a digital marketing campaign to gain access to people's personal information about their kids, right? The landscape looks so different now. And with cryptocurrency and the velocity that comes with an already volatile investment opportunity, there are just so many victims that sadly are reporting their experience, and so many more who are waiting in the wings, thinking that this next opportunity is going to be the one that changes their life for the better. And as what this report details, the opposite is actually occurring for many.
And obviously, when we're talking cryptocurrency, a lot of what we're talking about is investment type scams. But this, again, part of the report is the sort of how they're going through this, and there's a number of different ways. It's mostly investment type scams, but there's a number, everything from tech support to, again, sort of dating apps and romance apps and things like that, to even real estate and malware type of scams as well. So there's just so many different avenues that these scammers can use.
Without a doubt. I mean, if you had to create a payment method for a scammer, that would be incredibly lucrative. It would be encrypted. It would be very difficult to unearth if it were used in an illegitimate way. It would look a lot like cryptocurrency, right? There's a reason why these types of payment are more frequently being cited. It's not because they're increasingly popular, though they are. It's because they're increasingly popular with a certain subset that uses them because they are more protected, right? So a lot of our conversations really are about building layers of protection, of layers of security for yourself to handle everything from a home improvement project to an investment opportunity. Using cryptocurrency is not one of those safe methods, right? That is something that there are still guardrails being erected in real time, and there are still innovations that are sadly leaving a lot of folks unable to access their information because they lost a passcode or because that information got in the wrong hands and it's encrypted. So that information is very difficult to, once you get in the hands of law enforcement, for them to be able to remedy the situation in the way that, say, they could with a check or with a credit card.
And I also just want to point out before we shift gears here a little bit, Josh, we're talking about this. We are not saying that cryptocurrency is a bad thing. It could very well be, again, a good investment tool for you, again, if that's the direction that you do want to go. But you just have to be extra careful. Again, if people are asking you to pay with cryptocurrency and things like that, again, it's definitely something that should be talked about if you have a financial planner or something like that, and done in that sort of setting.
Absolutely. Certainly not advocating for folks to steer clear of it. Just you want to be as safe as you possibly can with all of your financial decisions, particularly those with new modes of payment that are not say the traditional banking system route, ones that there are still the federal government is trying to get its arms around, more or less, right? So you want to make sure you're being as careful as you can. So if you are investing, right, doing it at a small level, with some built-in advice or guidance from someone who is knowledgeable in that space is going to be best practice.
And so shifting gears a little bit here, Josh, we talked before we came on, because it had been so long since we had talked with each other, about how nice it was that, the Nebraska football team is doing well and, ranked now in the top 25. But that has also kind of cropped up a few issues with people trying to take advantage of the uptick in people who now are wanting tickets, trying to go to games, increased demand, and that's something that scammers look for when trying to take advantage of people. And we have seen locally here some increased reports of Husker ticketing scams, people from not around here who are selling tickets that aren't real.
Yes, you can draw a pretty straight line between the relevance of a team in terms of its win-loss record and the price of its tickets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that it doesn't always follow. That I mean, I saw this weekend there was the Colorado State game, and they were mentioning that the average ticket price for that game, because it's a rivalry game, was like triple the amount of the Alabama Wisconsin game. Which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but it's a rivalry game. So,
Yeah.
but with Nebraska, right, we have a top 25 showdown. This looks very different than prior seasons in which maybe Nebraska was not over 500. Maybe the season was the ceiling on the season looked a little bit different, right, than
Mm-hmm.
it does now.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, those tickets are going to be more and more in demand. There's going to be a higher cost associated with them. And I think what a lot of folks are seeing is, with Friday at least, we're talking about the 400th consecutive sellout, right? So there's built-in external reasons to be interested in this game, but there are also we have got a digital payment system that supposedly allows for the seamless transfer of tickets. Well, a lot of trust is incredibly important in these determinations, right? If you're buying a ticket from someone who claims they're a student or someone who claims they're a Lincoln resident, you really, unless you're meeting them beforehand, you really have no idea who this person is, who you're purchasing this opportunity from, and you are paying for the opportunity, right? So without that proven track record that you would look for with, say, buying a new roof for your home, you're really operating in the dark. And so there are some best practices that we would recommend to avoid, sadly, the increasing number of ticket scams related to Husker football and Husker athletics, which, by the way, are all originating outside of official channels, right? This is not through your SeatGeek. This is not through your Husker box office. These are through external means. So you want to safely navigate those wherever possible, which is challenging.
And so, again, because a lot of it is probably, I had UNLPD on last week, Captain Pembleton with UNLPD, and he talked about several students reporting some of these issues. And again, those are the ones that actually speak up and say, like, "Hey, this happened to me." So for every however many of those, there's probably even more people who didn't say anything. So what would be your number one thing to do? Again, if you're looking for tickets, obviously through the official channels, SeatGeek, through the university or whatever. But if you're just texting with someone, communicating with someone, what's your number one thing that you want to let folks know?
So again, not unlike we have the rule of threes with regard to getting estimates, right? So many people just want to latch onto the first opportunity and say that's good enough for me. I see your rate. I agree to your rate. You and me, we're a partnership on this project. If you can, though, go out of your way to meet this person ahead of time, right? That is going to be able to work your way past, I would say, a huge percentage of what is reported to us of this person doesn't exist. This person does not exist in Lincoln, Nebraska. This scam is being perpetrated by an outsider who is using, targeting information based on the success and the growth of universities in certain states. All of this information you can bypass, right, if you put a face to it. Just like if you were to be interested in securing a pet, right, and if you were to shop locally, right, if you were to go to a local animal shelter, you bypass 99.9 of what is reported to us. So if you can meet this person ahead of time and get a general sense for what that transfer is going to look like, that you can put a face to the transaction, there's a lot of security just bundled in that interaction. That might not be the case for everybody that they're willing to do that. But again, we're talking about stacking layers of security. So that is something you can do to legitimize the process and get a better sense for who that person is. If you can ask for a reference, again, know that we're talking about, in some cases, I needed a ticket, in 2 hours kind of scenarios. There's just very little the safety nets that are available for that type of transaction. And then things that we talk about all the time, Bill, if you can, have that payment go to a credit card or to, if it's peer to peer, that you can have that account verified. There are some additional verification steps you can take with transactions of that kind. And then to be wary of the context in which the conversation originated. Right? Did this person reach out to you, or did you reach out to them? If they reached out to you, typically that is something to be wary of. It sounds ideal, right? If I'm someone who is genuinely interested in a team, to be approached by someone selling a ticket on behalf of that team. But the reality is that that information must be scraped from somewhere, and it already puts me kind of on my back foot, right? So essentially, if you're the buyer, you can establish the ground rules, but only if you understand that targeting is a part of kind of the modern day landscape being a consumer.
Yeah, and again, with the Husker, the success of the team, again, we want it to be fun. We don't like to see these scams. So again, if it smells fishy, if it, you can always say no. You can always walk away. We don't like to see these types of things crop up, but again, unfortunately, they do when you do have success and things like that. Josh, we had one more thing we wanted to talk about today, and that is you guys have a new newsletter that you wanted to kind of get promoted out there. Just something that can, again, an extra layer of information and that people can kind of be aware as to what's going on.
Yeah, so it's conveniently titled the BBB Consumer Newsletter to leave nothing, nothing general, right? But this is something that that has information on all of the scams that we have monitored over the previous month within the state. So if you are interested in knowing about what's happening in Nebraska, this is the newsletter for you. If you want to know information about some seasonal topics, for instance, if you're interested in doing a home remodel project, if you're interested in knowing more about the insurance landscape before you are trying to enroll, either at your place of work or elsewhere, this is the newsletter for you. We also have information on upcoming events. So if you're interested in taking part in a webinar on a number of topics, we've got information there. We also have a lot of best practices to guide everything from budgeting to financial literacy to really just about everything, right? So, and we want to hear from you. So this is both an open forum. It's an opportunity for you to have a seat at the table and ask, for any information. We will happily bundle it within this newsletter. It's once a month, so it's not too frequent, but it's just enough to keep you on your toes and to give you the information you need to ideally safely navigate all of the thousands of consumer-related decisions that each and every one of us are making every single week.
Yeah, I think most of us, myself included, probably have a lot of emails in our inbox that we don't need, but this is definitely one that we would like to have in our inbox that we do need. Again, I know a lot of us kind of can skim through some of those, but even skimming through some of that information, it's at least going to put it in your brain to like, hey, maybe I need to, if I see this, maybe I need to think twice, maybe I need to watch out.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's just resurfacing that foundational role, right, to keep it again active in your brain, such that the next time someone puts you in a disadvantageous situation, you have something to fall back on.
And Josh, as we wrap up for this week, as always, want to let everyone know, again, if something has happened to you, please reach out to you guys. Let you guys know that's literally what you're there for. Because, again, for every scam that we do talk about, for every one person who comes forward and says something, there's probably 10, I mean, you would know the numbers better than I would, or at least the estimates, that haven't said anything.
bbb.org/scam tracker. It'll take you to 2.5 minutes to submit a report, right? You don't need to have lost any amount of money. I can tell you that there are agencies out there that if you haven't lost a dime, they will tell you, that story, while sad, does not have a home here. Your story has a home with us. And that is something that is incredibly important to please come forward with that information, share it so you can protect others in your community. Even just speaking to it is enough of a shield that we all frankly need right now.
All right, Josh, excellent information as always. Anything else you want to make sure we slip in before we let you go today?
If you're interested in that newsletter, bbbinc.org, newsletter sign up is the button. Please feel free to reach out if there's any tips or information you'd like to have included in it.
And I did put that link in the YouTube description of this video. I will make sure to add it, though, to our web article on 1011now.com. So Josh, thanks as always for your time today. We really appreciate it. You always make my Monday just a little bit better.
Likewise, Bill. Good to see you again.
All right, again, that was Josh Planos with the Better Business Bureau. Really appreciate his time. As always, appreciate everyone for tuning in and for watching. Keep it tuned to 1011, both on air and online, for all of your latest news, weather, and sports. And until next time, folks, hope everyone has a nice Monday.